A lot of people are always like, say yes to everything. And I don't actually believe in that. I think say yes to the things that you think either one, are going to pay you and you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's like you're helping a friend. And three, like it's like a project that like is going to inspire and help other people. Yeah, say yes to it, but be picky and choosy.
That's Raiza Licea, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast. Hey guys, I'm your host, Cara Duffy, and this is the Powerful Ladies Podcast, where I invite my favorite humans, the awesome, the up to something, and the extraordinary to come and share their story. I hope that you'll be left entertained, inspired, and moved to take action towards living your most powerful life. Raiza Licea is an improv comedian, actor, podcaster, creator, host, activist, and boss at creating spaces for Latinx voices to be heard in comedy. We recorded this episode during COVID-19 quarantine via Zoom, pre-Black Lives Matter protest, and at the time, I did not realize how foreshadowing this conversation would be. In this episode, we talk about how she created Spanish Aquí Presents, her perspective of the world as a Cuban American from Miami, and why it matters to her that she paves the way for people coming up behind her and voices that aren't often heard. Plus, we talk about why she loves basketball and cats. All that and so much more coming up, but first. If you're interested in discovering what possibilities and businesses are available for you to create and to live your most fulfilling life, please visit thepowerfulladies.com/coaching and sign up for a free coaching consultation with me. There is no reason to wait another day to not be living your best life, when you instead could be running at full speed towards your wildest dreams today. Well, welcome to the Powerful Ladies Podcast.
Hola. Am I jumping in already? Okay, cool.
Sure, yes. Go ahead. That was a genuine welcome. Yes, welcome. Welcome to the Powerful Ladies Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Jordan has, of course, said so many amazing things about you and about Spanish Aquí Presents. And I'm so excited that you're here today because you have a great story. You are involved in so many cool things. And I just can't wait to ask you all about it.
Yay.
So, of course, let's begin. Please tell everyone listening who you are and what you're up to.
Okay, my name is Raiza Licea. I am an actor, comedian, podcaster, cat lover, basketball baller, player. I always throw in basketball and cats somehow in every bio that I do or any like interviews. And I feel like everybody's like, okay, it sounds like a dating app. But yeah,
Love it.
I'm like, yeah, no, I'm born and raised from Miami. Cuban girl, more Miami girl than Cuban, if anything, probably. And yeah, I live in LA, and I know Jordan because she's our engineer for Spanish Aquí Presents at Earwolf. And yeah, I do improv comedy at UCB. I host the only Latinx show, the first and only like all Latinx only like main stage show there, and we have the only Latinx and first also Latinx comedy show at Earwolf. So like that's pretty cool. We've had two of the first on those things. And yeah, I'm just out here. Like it's it's a weird time to be promoting yourself, but it's also like a nice time to like do these kind of podcast interviews or talking about stuff that you're doing and you love, because I feel like it's the only thing that keeps us kind of like going, and it's like a nice little escape from what happens after we log off. Yeah, but I hope I answered that question right.
You did. You're up to a lot of things, and I would love to kind of go back to some of them because I think they're really important. You mentioned that you are part of groups that have been hugely instrumental in changing the Latinx community within Hollywood and podcasting and the comedy scene. How did those groups come together, and how did you get involved with them?
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, so I came out to LA not thinking I was going to do comedy. I not thinking, I guess that's probably the wrong way to say it, but more like I just felt like to me comedy was just stand up, and I just didn't think that was something that I wanted to do. I also have never done it still to this day. But my cousin took me to a improv show at UCB. My cousin Jennifer Nash, and she would just always be like, "You're so funny. Like it's just like you're very different. Like you're." And I feel like I would get that a lot when I moved out here. Like whenever I go to anywhere else that's not Miami, I feel like a lot of times that happens. But then I watched an improv show, and then all of a sudden, like I fell in love, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, I want to do this. Like saved up my money to take a class because they're expensive. It took me a little bit longer to get through the process because, like it's hard, like paying for classes and working and paying for gas and whatever, and like just like hustling. And so finally I finished my classes, and I was able to audition for Harold's, and Harold's is like the like top like I guess team that you can actually audition for at UCB to be on a house team, and like thousands of people audition, blah blah blah. And like I got on my first try, which I was like not even thinking or expecting, but and I was like the first like bilingual Latina to be on a Harold team. And like, I was like, oh, cool. Like, whatever. Like that to me, I was like, oh, like I'm surprised, but also great. Like there was, not that. But then I realized like once I was on this team that so many people would go to and watch, like the amount of like DMs that I would get from like Latinx people on my IG, on Facebook, like people would see me like at auditions and be like, oh my God, like I watched you in that show and you said this thing about your abuela. And like, oh, I feel like I've never like related to somebody. And like, it's so like simple and little, but like, I feel like those are like, that's the kind of stuff that like, I wish I had watched on stage, but I didn't see people that look like me. And to be fair, I'm very, we're zooming right now. I look real light skinned, but I'm usually browner because I be tanning. But we got to stay indoors. But yeah, no. And so after that, I was on it for a year. I unfortunately got cut. Fortunately and unfortunately, I say, because it was like one of those like blessing in disguises kind of thing. Like, where it hurt me a lot. I was really, really bummed out because I love doing improv and I love doing comedy and I love just being myself. But apparently being myself was part of like what got me cut, I guess. Like, too loud, I had an accent when I didn't realize I had an accent. People would call that out and make that the funny thing. I also had like a lot of like kind of like racist stuff happen to me. Like in improv, you ask for a word to start to, to get your opening, to inspire the opening. And, I've gotten the word spicy, tapatio, taco, burrito, sassy, even, where like, sure, but like, not just all Latinos are sassy. Like I know a lot of white girls will be sassy too. But like, it was just like all these things, and like, it was a lot. And, even within the team in itself, and, no shade to like my teammates, it was just like, I think, it's hard not to call things out that you're not sure. Maybe that is like just a thing, or like, just like my culture is very different from a lot of other people's cultures. And a lot of people didn't get that. And that was like what I thought was beautiful of being on stage, being able to just like bust out. Like I had the first ever like blackout where it was in Spanish, and like the tech doesn't know Spanish, but they knew the laugh was there and they blacked us out, and we had a great show, and it was cool because people like still like would remind me of that, whatever. So I got cut. And I was bummed out, but like prior to getting cut, I had reached out to the AD at UCB about doing an all-Latinx show, because I realized being on the stage even more, like so many people like related to me, and like, we're like, I don't see enough of us. I don't see like you, like whatever. Even just like, I even had like a Filipino girl be like, I like, they say that we're like the like Latinx of the Asian community. And I was cracking up with like, I was like, okay. And she was like, and it's so nice. Like you did this thing about like your dad. And I was like, oh my God, that would be my dad too, whatever. So I pitched this show, and then like I don't hear back for like 3 months, and then I get cut. And then like, I have my sad girl, like for a month, like my sad girl moment where like, I'm just sad and depressed. And I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? I never heard back from this chick. Like, why didn't she write back to my email? So it kind of lights a fire in my ass. And I email her a very bitchy but professional email. My father, I made sure that my father read it, and he is a very conservative man, and I am not. But he was like, Raiza, it's a very good email. You sound very bitchy, pero tough. And like, like a jefa, like a boss. But it's okay. It's good. It's professional. And so I sent it to him. There was like one thing he wanted me to take out, but I like kept it in because I'm like, it was a little like I'm like, I just want you to know that like I'm pissed.
Mm-hmm.
Like at the
Mm-hmm.
end of this, I want you to know. And I left that in. Uh, and
The
then
jab. You left in the jab.
yeah, exactly. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes people you need to like just like poke them a little bit so that they remember like you're here, like hello.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a meeting. Me and Carlos Santos from my team were the only two that were able to go to the meeting. We showed up, and I did most of the talking, as he says. He's like, "Yeah, I just let her talk," and I'm like, "Uh huh." And I was, like, I found out that the reason we didn't get a show was because apparently uh I didn't give a name for the show, and I was like, well, I first need to know if I have a show before I give you a name. Like this is just like bam. So we got our show. It sold out like crazy. Like there was
Awesome.
people all over like the stairs of UCB. Like they had to turn
Yep.
people away. And I was like, oh shit, like clearly this is something that not only I want and like the like Latinx community that wants to get on stage wants, but people want to come and watch this because
Mm-hmm.
there's nowhere to watch this live. There's barely anywhere to watch us on TV and movies. So imagine
Yep.
live performances. So yeah, so we just kept doing it, and after like a year, Cody came up to us, and she reached out about doing the podcast, and we did a pilot episode, and we were one of the top 5 like choices like picked that year, and it's been really cool. It's hard. Latinos are not big in the podcasting world,
Yet.
listening or being on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels sometimes like a really big struggle. Like you see these basic, boring white straight men comedians, they start a podcast and they have millions and hundreds and thousands of views. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, you're not that different from the other 19 other guys that have had one. You're
Yep.
literally saying the same exact things, same exact
Mm-hmm.
opinions. Like, I'm bored. I'm done. Like, if there was like 50 Latinas with the same exact podcast saying the same thing, I get it. I would get it, but there isn't, you
Yeah.
know? And so, yeah, like that's how like that all kind of started. I guess it just, it came off of like, just like not being heard and not being seen,
Mm-hmm.
which makes it even more like, it makes it more special to me knowing what a
Yeah.
like big influential like show it is, the live one and the podcast. But the live one is so different to me because it's like we have all these people here watching us, where the
Yeah.
podcast, like I don't get to see like how people like if they thought this was funny or if they're like whatever, unless they like DM us or text us or like see us in person.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Except for Jordan laughing
Yeah.
in the corner.
Yeah, Jordan and like producer Cody when she's in there too.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's kind of like it's funny because like I'm like, I guess like podcasting is kind of like these like comedians that are doing stand up on Zoom right now. Like
Mm-hmm.
you don't have an audience, and here you are just like kicking it, but at least you have your friends to kick it with a little bit in the podcasting. But
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much like how everything started, I guess. And since then, yeah, we as a team we've been killing it, and like individually we've been killing it and so many other different things. So it's nice to see that like not only through the show itself and the podcast, but like we've been able to like be seen more as a
Mm-hmm.
group and as individuals and just as like Latinx people and just as people that can be funny.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even matter that we're Latinx.
Well, I love in that share that one, that you felt what it was like to be put into a box, being the first on something,
Mm-hmm.
and see that experience and then pitch your own idea because you saw the gap and what you were personally feeling and what you saw. And then so many people don't get heard and they don't do anything. So for
Mhm.
you to like not be heard and then to get so mad about it, you're like, no,
Yeah.
they're going to hear I'm mad. They're going to hear what I think, and like to go in and make it happen. And it took like nothing, right? You sent that email and then I was like, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
here
Well,
it goes.
because you
Mhm.
have to like sometimes like just like, and it's like I'm a very, I say this a lot. A lot of people when they meet me, if they don't know me, or like I remember in college or this would happen in high school or whatever, people would immediately assume that thing, especially mostly, and no shade. I know this is like, powerful women like podcast, but it's like women back in the day. Now it's a little different, but
Mhm.
back in the day we were so mean to each other. I feel like thank God
Yeah.
we're in this crazy movement of this crazy like positive movement of like inspiring each other, helping each other, lifting each other. It doesn't matter what color we are,
Mhm.
what we identify as long as we identify as a female or whatever. And I think like a lot of people would always like see me like in person and just like assume I was a bitch just because I wasn't, trying to be your BFF maybe or whatever that was. And like, I'm actually a very, very, like, I don't have like a middle ground. I either love you
Yeah.
or I hate you. Like,
Mhm.
so like you will barely catch me in the middle. If
Yeah.
it's in the middle, I feel like that's just like, you're just like a person that I see. But like, if you're my friend, I love you.
Yeah.
And I like so hard. And like, if not, like, you're dead to me. Like, as like aggressive as that sounds, like, I don't fuck with you. I don't care
Mhm.
what you are, what you identify. I'm like, if you fuck with me or like my family or my friends, I'm like, bye-bye. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, I think that's part of it where like sometimes the bitch has to come out. It's like my dad will always be like, Raiza Aquí, right? And then he like tries and like you can't hold her in. Sometimes she's gotta let loose and let people
Mhm.
know how she feels. And 90% of the time it's been a positive outcome. There's always that 10% that just like that person doesn't care, doesn't give into it. But at least I feel like I like was heard and I like got to express whatever it was,
Yeah.
that happens.
No, it's it's why I love the She Wolf song by Shakira, because it's not about like, to me it means all those things, like whether it's like you passionate, you angry, you fired up, like you have to let it out and you have to say what's going on, otherwise it's going to do something negative to you in some other capacity.
For sure, for sure. Because
Yeah.
like we've all like, especially just as women in general, like there's so many times where like we've wanted to speak up and say something, but we stay quiet.
Mhm.
And then like, being a woman in this like mainly male dominated like career, not
Mhm.
even just acting, but comedy specifically is men. And there's more men of color now,
Yeah.
but still, like it's still
Mhm.
so like mansplainy. Like I would say something and somebody would try to correct me like in a scene or like I don't get that with the boys in my team. And when any of them
Mhm.
try to mansplain me, have I Jordan can speak of this. She knows I call them out right there. I call them out right there. And I'm like, we are not gonna edit this, but we're gonna edit this part that this one said. And Jordan just
Yeah.
listens to what I say, thank God. she knows who the real Hefa is of the four.
Yes. Yeah.
But I love the boys so much. And Tony and Oscar are, they identify Oscar identifies as queer and Tony identifies as gay, and Carlos is a straight boy. So I pick on him probably the most just because he's a straight boy. But we all love each other. I really like on stage. I've never ever felt like bad. Like, and it sucks because like I feel like I've had so many like shows with a lot of people that I like and enjoy doing comedy with, but like there's always like a moment where I'm like, damn, that person said this, or they like cut off this female in front of me, and like I don't like that, and it wasn't even done to me, but it's just not fun to
Yeah.
watch. It's not fun to listen to a podcast where like there's a man always talking over the woman. Like I'm like, that's nobody likes that.
No, talking over anybody. Yeah. And especially if it's
She
a
froze. Hold on.
woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Sorry, you had
Yeah.
frozen.
Oh, I was just saying, like, no one likes hearing anyone getting talked over, especially that male-female dynamic because of where we're at right now. But I think like it's so interesting, like how all the barriers you're breaking, because even within your group, you're one of four, and you're the only like female in that group still.
Yeah. When I put, oh, sorry, no, go.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's funny you said that because like even like when I put us together, I don't know if that was like gonna be the question, but I am like considered like the founder or whatever of SAP, because I was just like I don't like we were the ones that were showing up to these shows and performing. We were on a team called Improvisos Peligrosos, just Spanish speaking improv, and it was a mix of people. But at one point, it just was like me, Tony, Oscar, Carlos, or me and Oscar and Carlos, me, Tony, and Oscar. Like it was a mix, and like somehow I was always that other link that would like circulate between all the other three boys, and that's why I was like I would like to do this with you. Cool, are you guys down? Like, do you fucks with it? All right, tight. And then, they always had my back. They still do. And it was definitely one of those things where like, I didn't think about it, but I was like, oh yeah, we are even so much more diverse than we even thought. We're not just four like Mexicans. We're not four Cubans.
Yeah.
We're like, and Oscar is even Afro-Latino. So like, he also like, has that different like side when he speaks about stuff, that he can like give us a different type of knowledge or whatever. But yeah, I'm like, definitely, like what you said, yeah, it's like, it's weird because it is definitely still, I'm that female voice no matter what.
Yeah. And it's cool that to be in a position where you get to like pick your team, right? Like you literally get to hand choose who you want to do this project that you had created, which a lot of people don't get put in that position. Like especially in the like Hollywood space, you might get your idea accepted, but you don't get to pick your team or your co-stars or
Oh
something
yeah.
else. Like
Yeah.
how cool to, just get to put it all together. And like,
Yeah.
do you get surprised at like where it's gone and the magnitude of the reaction that you're getting?
I in the beginning I was a little it was crazy. I mean, I got my manager and I got agent and like I had like already like commercial rep because of Harold's and then like after the show like little by little and I'm the one that like pretty much show runs. So like I'm the one that booked everybody for the first show. I usually book most of the people, but I mean the boys do have an input. Like it's not just like I'm like, look, I know I'm Cuban, but I'm not a dictator. So, what's this called? No, but like, I'll be like, oh, like Carlitos, like, because he's a stand-up. He came from stand-up. And so I was like, I'd always be like, oh, like, who's like someone cool that's Latinx? So so I do ask them for suggestions and like always like Tony and like Oscar always have like really cool, like other like Latinx friends too that do weird stuff. So it is great because like we get their input, but like I get to put it together and like we make like, we always put like the shows, like we want to make it flow. Like I'm not just going to have like, I don't try to just have all like a specific type, but like I feel like if I can make a theme into it and make it like, this poetry is going to go great with this person that's going to do a dance, like, and whatever, like we make it mesh. So that is like another art, like just the show running and like putting it together, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so like picking that and it's also like making even our show or like even the podcast, like we get to pick who we want to interview. Like I get to say no to people all the time, not in a bad way, but it's like,
No.
like, I don't like, I'm like, you're just like the amount of straight white boys I have asked to do our podcast is very funny to me. Cause I'm like, oh, you don't have enough places to go do your thing. Oh, okay. Sure. I'll put you on my list. Maybe, I don't know. But like, I'm like, the only straight white boys that are going to be doing our podcast are ones that are like killing it for like minorities in some other type of aspect. Like that is all you will ever like, cause the show is only Latinx. I made it from the first, like once we had our show, I told the boys, I'm like, there's one thing I'm going to tell you and I'm going to stand by it. Only Latinx people on our show and as our guests. If we want to change it like next year, sure, whatever, we can mix that up. But like for this right now, like unless you're Drake, you're not doing my show. Like, and that's just because that's Drake. That's just because that's my boy.
Well, and I'm sure you guys experience the same thing that I do with Powerful Ladies. Like there's only so many episodes you can release in a year.
Yeah.
And there's always more people you want to have on than there are spots.
Oh, for sure.
And we have a huge referral program because, Powerful Ladies know Powerful Ladies, which I think is incredible, right? Like some of my favorite guests have been referred from another guest. And I also have people like texting me like, hey, have you reached out to my friend yet that I recommended? And I'm like, they're on the list. They're in the queue. Like, I'm like, thank you for your patience because it's blending this mix of stories that we want to tell and making sure we have different perspectives. And then also balancing what we have to do as well for the growth of the podcast. It's like, how do we like put all that together? And Jordan actually had a whole like kind of huddle earlier this week about like, okay, where are we at? How many episode slots do we have left for the year? How do we pick and choose based on like, what's our dream list for the rest of the year? Like, let's make that happen. But it's a never ending story of who do you want and that person's awesome. Let's get them in.
I know. And I love to plan ahead. I mean, Jordan like knows like, before the quarantine, like I had like 7 guests, like I had 4 lockdown and then I had like another 3 big ones. And like, she knows, like, I don't like no shade to like people that are up, like very up and coming or whatever. Cause I'm in that same like category. I'm not on a show. I'm the only one that like, honestly, the boys work way more than me. That's fine. And I was like, we're all at different paces. And it doesn't bother me. Like, I'm like, that's like my like brothers like killing it. And I'm like, listen, your success, that's the podcast success. That's our live show success. And that's also my success because those people that are coming out to see you are also going to see me and like see Tony or see Oscar, see Carlos, like whatever. It's always going to be the same thing. And it's really hard because like I do I do want to put people that I know that are like, they have this little thing here, little thing there, but like what you're saying, like it's our first year, it's our first podcast. Like, I mean, we've gotten huge, huge, huge guests. And that's just like, most of it is because we need their voices to help lift ours up. We need them to like post about us and like promote us so that people will like fall in love with us too. And, see that there is this other type of podcast or this form of art or whatever out there, whether it's a podcast or even like the live show. Like, it's hard because the list for the live show is crazy. It's longer than the podcast because, and the podcast, I'll have anybody. Like, it doesn't matter what color you are, what your, nationality, anything. Like, it doesn't matter. But for the live show, like I said, it's only Latinx. So it's such a, we have one stand-up every show. We have one show every month. So we'll have 12 stand-ups in a year. That's really not that much. That's 12 people I can put up. And then sometimes the celebrity wants to do stand-up. Like we had Sharonis Jackson from Insecure and also Luis Guzman. They both do stand-up, but they were also the people that we interviewed. So I was like, cool, like that already like cuts a stand-up person. So it's really hard. Like what you're saying, like, like juggling like the run of show, the ROS. Like it's like, it's if you feel mean, like, and I have friends always too that always are like, oh, can I send you this girl? Or like, can I send you my friend? And I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to be that girl, but like, I can't put everybody and their mother. We have had one mother of ours, God bless his mom, but that's because she was in town. But I'm like, but that was different. That was for premium. For premium, we'll do whatever. Like, premium, we have fun. But yeah, like, I respect that. I agree.
Excuse me.
No, bless you.
Yeah. No, it is. It's and being a planner as well, like Jordan will speak to this. Like I like being so far out because then we have more time to edit. Like I don't like being rushed. I hate having to every day do this and make sure it's done. And I don't like the work taking over my life. Yeah. So like how can we work a ton, but do it in a way where we're more in control and we have more fluidity, especially in the way that Jordan's working on this podcast. Like she has a day job that is super demanding. And then I'm like, hello, sister, I need your help. So for like, how do we make it all work? And then Powerful Ladies is so much more than the podcast. And I have a whole business coaching business. So it's like, we have to do this so smart. And Jordan thinks I'm insane about how many episodes I'll record in a day and how many I want to like stockpile. But I think we're getting to a happy medium. Jordan clearly has something to say. Go, Jordan.
I was going to say, to give Raiza some perspective, Kara, one time for Powerful Ladies, was 4 months ahead. And we release one weekly.
Oh,
that's like how organized she is.
I love that. Listen, so. I love that. I mean, I'm old school. I put everything on my like agenda. I write it down and like, I love to write stuff down. So that's part of like what gives me anxiety during this quarantine. I'm like, oh, I get to put podcast on a Sunday at 1:30. Here we go. Yeah. Ooh, yes, baby. I'm like 3 weeks ahead, but I'm here. I'm so excited just to like, oh, today I have something to do. But like and it's funny because everybody's so different. Like my boyfriend, he's the opposite of planning when it comes to like stuff, like mostly. And I'm like, but I'm such a planner. And I don't know where that came from. I feel like, honestly, as most things, it comes from how we grew up. And I think, I'm the middle child of like a big Cuban family. And we all did, like my two older sisters were already like out of high school at one point when all the rest, like the rest of the four of us, because we're 6 in total, when the 4 other ones of us were kind of like doing middle school, high school, elementary, but like we were always in sports. In the school and outside. So like I played like in a baseball league outside of the base of school. Then I also did everything in the sports teams. Then in high school and in middle school, like I love basketball. Like basketball is like my favorite sport. But I played in my school. I played freshman year and freshman. And then I also played like the senior. I was in the JV and the varsity. Like I did both. Plus I did like the basketball team outside of the school. So like my dad would drive me, pick me up from like a game in Miami, which is like, so I went to LaSalle, like he'd pick me up from like LaSalle and Coconut Grove and drive me all the way to like Tamiami Park, which is like, it's like an hour in like basic traffic. So like normal, like bad traffic at that time was like an hour and a half. And like, he would do that just so that I can like continue like to like go to like my stuff and without planning, like to get back to the planning is like the only way to do that with so many kids is if you're a good planner. Like my parents were good at that. And they kind of like threw that at us. And it's interesting to see like how we all in our different careers use it at such a like high level. Like we're big on planning. Like we plan our family birthdays and parties and everything like super ahead. Like I mean, my birthday last year, like I planned that like a month ahead, and everybody was like, so early. I'm like, nah, I need to get my spot that I want. I need to make sure my outfit goes with my plate, like everything. Like I wanted it all perfect. And if it wasn't for my obsession with planning, I'd be a hot mess right now too. Because actors need to be good at planning. Like if you're not, like that's such a struggle. I don't know how many people miss auditions, castings, like things like that because they're like, oops, I'm so bad. I forgot you needed this. And I'm like, you should have written it down, and you don't write it down.
Yeah. But thank you. My spot now. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, bye.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here. No, I'm here for the male, white, banjo player role. Give me that. I also play the banjo. No, mentira. I don't play any of that.
That would be incredible.
I wish. I play no musical instruments. It's funny because I'm like, I was just talking about this with my boyfriend's mom. We're like, I'm so bad at like, I mean, I could go dance at a club, like choreographed dancing and like salsa, like for real. Like I'm like the worst Juanita because I'm like, I suck at like salsa dancing because all the girls, like the cheerleaders were maybe the only other ones that like, they like didn't go to those classes, but they did it like after they were just like naturally good at it. But like I was playing outside basketball, trying to like one up all the boys in my, while the other girls were like inside taking ballet or like doing like salsa classes or all that stuff. And now I'm like, I wish I would have given at least like 20% effort and taken a class because then I'd at least be a little okay. But like, I'm that girl at the club that like, I have like basketball feet when I dance. It's embarrassing. It's so bad. It's so bad.
Whenever I'm salsa dancing, I always get really impatient with having to follow.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it too. That's so funny. Yeah. Well, so I went to like a birthday party like 2 years ago for my friend Haley. And it was like, I think like 5 of us gals showed up, and it was this place where they were teaching. It was like a like big, I don't even remember where it was. It was the randomest place I had ever been. It was like in the valley or something like that. And I don't know. And it was like, there was this Asian man that kept being paired up with me. And he was like probably like 45-ish. And he was so good. And he literally just like called me out. He's like, you are not the man. You are not leading. And like, it was one of those things where I was like, rude. What do you mean I'm not the man? I'm not leading. But also like, yeah, no, the man in salsa leads. Like, but I kept trying to do it. And like, I don't know. I'm such, like, I have like such masculine energy that like, it's always so funny to like do these like things that are like getting interviewed for these lady website or things. I'm like, I'm such a dude, quote unquote, like my energy and my tone and like how I think sometimes, how they're like, think like a man. I'm like, my girl, I've been thinking like a man my whole life because I grew up with them. Like that's who I was living with all my life. So like, yeah.
No, I'm the same way. And it was honestly part of what inspired it to be Powerful Ladies because like I fail at so many girl things all the time. Like hair, makeup. I'm like I would rather cook for myself than have to do my own hair and makeup if I had the choice to choose.
Oh, wow.
Like,
yeah.
No, I missed that whole class about like what a proper lady is supposed to know and do. And I'm like, is there like can you take this on Zoom now? Like, I don't know how I can catch up.
I mean, it's funny because like I always say like, and people always will be like, no, but you do it so like, and I'm very like, I'm not the kind of person that'll say something so that I get a compliment. Like I'm very confident. I know like I'm cute. I know like I'm good at certain things that I'm good at. And like, I'm not like embarrassed to say it. I'm also, trying to be humble maybe in more other things that I'm like, okay, right. So like chill out, relax. But like makeup and hair are 2 things that I'm like, I'm not great at either. And I kind of just do the same makeup all the time. I just change my lipstick and that's like where I'm at right now. And I'm like, I don't like the only thing I do is, I get my lashes done Yeah, my, Jamie, my lash gal, she's the best. I miss her so much. They've all fallen off since quarantine. But uh yeah, I'm like, I feel you on that. I don't my like, and it's no shade to my mom. She was a great mom and she still is, but it's one of those things where it's interesting. Like I very much like she wasn't the kind of mom that like ever also like she would never, which I know a lot of females that their moms, the reason that they're so into hair and makeup is because their moms would say, "Oh my God, do something with your face," or "Why are you wearing that?" Or like, "Oh my God, your
Mm-hmm.
hair looks crazy." My mom was never like, I can't even
Mm-mm.
recall a time that my mom called me like fat or told me like in like the Latino community, like it's hard because like there were really like you go back home for like many communities, but especially like it's like not only like, oh, when are you getting married, when are you having babies, it's also like, oh, you've gained a little weight, or oh my God, you're
Yeah.
you're too skinny, you're losing your butt. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, I don't win with you. Like if I lose weight, my butt is gonna shrink. If
Right.
I gain weight, my butt is gonna stay big and I'm gonna be thicker up top. I don't like, also like my body is not for you to like pick and choose. But I think like my mom was always like she was never been, that's one thing I can say like 100%. I've never ever felt like she's been tough on our image like that.
Hmm.
The only thing she would always just be like, because I'm a hot mess and I've always been like messy. And I would just put my hair in a bun. She'd be like, I like she'd like Risa, like, it's like crazy or like whatever. Like maybe like just kind of like not like you look ugly, but kind of like my girl, you look like you just woke up. And I'm like, that's because I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I think like that was probably like the hardest thing, but like she wasn't the kind of mom either that like was like, I'm gonna teach you how to do makeup. Like my mom wore Clinique, which is like the
Yep.
like makeup for like sensitive skin bitches. And I get it because my mom got that light fair skin, that Cuban
Hmm.
light skin, and she gotta have that sensitive Clinique brand.
Yeah. No, our mom is the same. Like, I think she's worn like Maybelline mascara, the same like green and
Uh-huh. The
pink
green and
bottle.
pink. That's the best one.
Yeah, for like literally
Yeah.
40 something years at this point. And
Yeah.
that's the extent of makeup. So
Yeah.
it was not a class offered at home. And
Mm-mm.
I think I was given like deodorant and a razor, and Ben was like, bye.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Yeah, I think I learned like stuff just like from other people and from their sisters and
Hmm.
their moms maybe. Not again, not in a bad way towards my mom. It's just like I never, but I also like kind of didn't care. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't anything, like my sister was like the fashion one that I learned all the fashion stuff from, and like I'm not gonna learn fashion from my mom at that age or whatever too. And like I'm 8 years younger than my sister Danya, and like fashion and like makeup and hair and stuff. Like she did help me. She like helped me a little bit, and her like older like cool friends and
Hmm.
whatever. But they also like my sister was always like she never put on makeup. She was always so drop dead gorgeous that like she was just one of those natural beauties. Not
Hmm.
because she's my sister, but I'm just like, yeah, you like put on mascara and lip gloss that's clear and you look like a freaking model walking down like the street, and like people will
Yeah.
like break neck, and like that's just how she never like worried about makeup. Like it's like,
Hmm.
I guess if you feel like you didn't have to worry about it. So, but yeah, definitely girl stuff. I'm not no bueno. I do cook well though. Been
Hmm.
getting better at the cooking too.
Well, you're wearing your Selena t-shirt.
Yes.
So I think that's a perfect reason to talk about all the powerful ladies who have inspired you.
Ooh, there's so many. I'm like, um, I would say like in my real life, I think like all my sisters are like to me powerful ladies like Lara, Rachel, and Danya. Two big sisters, my little one. Um, that even like my little one, like I look up to her like she's like the baby, and she like just like is so smart, is in med school right now, but went to like college on a running scholarship and academic scholarship, and is just like not just because again not because she's my little sister, but she's just such a like badass like in so
Mhm.
many different ways. um like so yeah, in my personal life I would say them. They're definitely three, my mom as well. uh and I think like it's so hard like when I think of like celebrity ones, like yeah, sure, like Selena like was a huge influence. um Even like people like talk about like J Lo not being like, or like all these, and I'm just like, yeah, like okay, great. Like maybe like she hasn't done a crazy amount of like Oscar nominated movies or whatever, but I still think like she like broke a lot of like barriers, especially for like Latina women, and not always having to be like the like fetishized kind of female. Like, you know, she did like movies like Enough and like things like that, where like she's this badass like woman of color just like kicking your ass if you mess with her or whatever. I'm like, there's so many. I like, we just had Patty Rodriguez on our podcast last week, and she's someone that like I remember like when I started following her on Instagram, I thought she was so cool because she had like so many cool things that she was doing, and she's this like young like single mom, and I just think like those kind of people influence me a little bit more even than like the famous ones, because like it's so beautiful to see all these like famous women like killing it, and now because of social media they can prove that you can have it all. You can be on, you know, a TV show and a movie in the same year, and also have a baby that year, and also like get nominated for an Oscar or an Emmy or both, or and you know, run a marathon that year because you decided that that's what you wanted to do, and like all these things. And sure, like a lot of these people that do these things have the privilege of having the money and having people to help take care of their children, but like there's like so many like people out there that are doing. So I think for me a lot, even though like I didn't come from a single mom, because my parents did get divorced, but like I think like I don't know, to me powerful ladies right now are like the single women out there just like being mom and dad, and like really like just taking care of their families and themselves and killing it at work. Like that's a lot. And I think women in general don't get that respect. Like men don't have to like stay home with a baby after they have it. Men don't have that body image crisis that they have to deal with after having a child, or you know, whatever that is. But I think, which is, I know it's such a vague answer, but yeah, I don't know. Like Celia Cruz, I guess maybe is another famous one that I
love her.
Yeah, she's, you know, she was from my island, and she escaped and made a name for herself as a Black Afro-Latina, you know, singer in a time where like she was still, you know, she was living in a time where like she wasn't allowed to like hang out with like the like white performer that was going on stage before her because she was headlining. And it's like, what? Like, and things like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like, there's so many women. I'm like, I would have to like browse through my Insta, but I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I do think, you know, like there's also like the people like the Michelle Obamas, and the AOC is someone right now that I'm like, I mean, not right now, but like I've been obsessed with. Like I like hope to be here when she runs for president, and like just I want to like help and be part of that campaign, because even like I've been binging on Scandal lately, and like all I can think of as I watch it, like I'm just like, oh God, AOC would be such a good president right now. Like, God, she's so smart. And I know, like, you know, some people think she's a little too liberal, more local or whatever, but I'm like, fuck that. I'd rather have that than what we have right now. Like,
well, and that's kind of her role, right? Where, you know, I think some of our senators and congressmen and even state or federal level forget that they're supposed to be local.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's
like,
so good at it. She's so good at it. Like, she's just like, I love that. Like, she's, you know, like these local politicians right now, a lot of them are like, just like, they're blowing up in our faces in a positive way, because it's like, we're seeing them actually be put into action and like put their money, or put their like not put their foot in their mouth, kind of like actually be like, okay, like we're going to do something now. And she's been doing lives, like she'll like cook and like talk to you about like politics. And it sounds crazy, but like she's off the clock. Like she's off the clock. Like I know they're technically never off the clock, but at the same time, like she has to have a life too. Like the girl has to want to like sit down and have a bottle of wine after every freaking night that she's dealing with this. Like, how are these people not alcoholics at this point? I don't know, because it's like I would be so stressed out.
Yeah, and you want you want politicians to be human and to be as much like the rest of us are as possible, so that they get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really interesting, like how we judge people who are in power and what we really want from them versus what they're capable of. Like it's this whole mix up of like what's happened. Same with celebrities, right? Like we're all just humans, and most of us are trying to do our best and not hurt people.
Yeah. And it's hard because like too, like I think like even like celebrities now, like they like because again, social media at the time is so different. Like there's so much more pressure put onto them for separate
Mm-hmm.
things, and like, and it is hard. Like there are things where like sometimes like I'll do a podcast and I'm like, oh, maybe I should edit that, but I'm like, whatever, it's not that big of a deal. But like I can't imagine being like someone so like famous, and like every single thing that comes out of your mouth, every single thing you post, like I'm like, and I know this is the life that like I'm in, and hoping to continue being in forever, but like there is a little bit more pressure, and I think a lot more is expected of us and them, and it's hard because it's like, look, like J-Lo is human too, Drake, Bad
Mm-hmm.
Bunny, like they're all like normal people. Like it
Yeah.
was crazy last night. I'm like, I know I bring him up in every podcast, but Bad Bunny is one of my favorite artists. Obsessed with him, like literally phone case, love him. And yeah, if you listen to the SAP podcast, and like every time I talk about him, like you took a shot, every episode you got a little tipsy. But but like he's somebody that like also like he like I know he he's a dude or whatever, but like he like he doesn't even choose to like tell you what he identifies as. He's like, I am what I am, and that's it. Like he wears
Mm-hmm.
acrylics on a red carpet. He has a girlfriend. He made like he's like done these things where like I'm listening to him, and I'm like, his songs are like, yeah, like they're talking about like hooking up with a chick, but then he has another song where it's like pretty like empowering towards women, like kind of like he has a song that came out this year and it was like yo perreo sola, like where women, if they want to go to a club and like
Mm-hmm.
perrear, like get down and twerk or dance or whatever, like they don't need a guy to come behind them and dance with them, like we could do that by ourselves. And
Yes.
he like dedicated that song to like this woman, Alexa, who was trans and got killed in a bathroom, and I believe it was a bathroom in Puerto Rico, and like went on like this huge show and like just like did this, and I'm like, okay, like we talk about this a little bit, but the one time that guy like does like anything, like they're gonna like go at him, and I'm like, but he's doing all these other things, and there's so many
Mm-hmm.
artists that are like that. And like he went on live yesterday, and that's why I was like laughing because like he went on live, and I was like texting her, but I'm like, he's on live. He never goes on live because these artists that are like, they're probably scared sometimes of like getting in and
Mm-hmm.
engaging with people, because
Yeah.
it's so scary, like to do one thing and then that's it, you're canceled. This cancel culture is wild, but I
And
don't
it's,
know.
I think it's just dangerous. It's not even dangerous for creativity and the arts, and it's
Yeah.
just dangerous for humans because what we're doing to celebrities, we're now doing to like, or politicians, and it went to celebrities. Now it's
Mhm.
celebrities going to people in our own lives. And
Yeah.
we're not showing anybody what it looks like to allow someone to redeem themselves or apologize or to be forgiven.
Yeah.
And it puts so much more pressure on everyone to be more perfect,
Yeah.
which is the opposite, I think, of what we all want. Like,
Oh,
what would it be like to have room? Like room to just like be who you are and know that if you mess up, like you're
yeah.
going to be given the opportunity to fix it.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
say it all the time. Like I'm like, honestly, like I'm sure I've said things, or maybe I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I mean, I don't think I've ever been like God. I don't know. I don't know. I can't think of everything I've ever said or done. But like I'm sure I've said things that have been rude or problematic at the time. Maybe, or like maybe it's problematic now, but it wasn't at the time, or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Or but like we've all done that. Like I think everybody has said or done something, and it's like nobody's perfect. Like there's truly nobody that like can come here and say I've never said
No.
this problematic thing, or like when I was in high school I was never racist, or like things like that. I'm like, no, for sure you all have done stuff, because
Mhm.
when you were 10 or 12 you didn't maybe know the n-word was bad, and you were playing with your black friend and maybe you said it. I'm not saying that I did that, but I'm just saying,
Mhm.
like, like when you're young like that, like you
You
don't think
just don't
about it.
know.
You don't know, and it's like that's why you learn. And I even think
Mm-hmm.
like, especially like I've coming to California has been so much more like eye-opening, because in Miami, it's such a bubble.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that people still do. Like I see a lot of my Miami friends, and they're Latinx, they're Cuban, they're Colombian, they're Argentinian, they're Venezuelan, they're Puerto Rican, they're, very different. They're just white or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're posting these things or they're saying these things, and I'm like, you don't realize like that is not okay. Like just little things, like Cinco de Mayo's on Tuesday, and like a
Yeah.
bunch of people are going to be appropriating even during quarantine. Like they're going to make it such a thing, and it's like I'm not Mexican, but I will fight for the Mexican people on this forever. We had an episode on it about like being
Mhm.
about appropriating and appreciation. It's a
Yeah.
very fine line, but there's a way to like appreciate and not appropriate, and definitely like it's such a bubble in Miami compared to LA. Like we are so lucky to be in LA, I think at least to like have so many people be, and I hate the word woke, but like I wish there was another word. Woke, I feel feels so like I want to make sure you know that I'm hip. Like when I say it, I'm like, it feels so weird to say it.
Well, I think it's really important to talk about that appreciation versus. Sorry, my mind just went blank.
Appropriate.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So, what is the difference to you, and like how can you guide people between those two paths?
So I think and I mean my opinion obviously isn't like maybe the general or whatever,
Yeah.
but like I think once we had that podcast, we kind of like realized that like one, don't profit off of it. Like one of the people we spoke about was this it was this white blogger that she did a Cinco de Mayo like themed birthday for her daughter that turned 5, I think. But
Mm-hmm.
she's a lifestyle blogger. So like she was making money in this post from advertisement and also like getting stuff for free for the party, whatever to post and all that stuff. And people were like, that's appropriating. She's like, why? It's just my little girl's birthday. And it's like, but you're making money off of this. And
Mm-hmm.
also like I think it's like it's kind of like something like for example like if I'm wearing a Selena shirt, right?
Yeah.
Like I know about Selena, I could sing you some of her songs, I could tell
Mm-hmm.
you about her life, I've watched her movie so many times, like
Mm-hmm.
I know like that she had a lipstick line at MAC because I purchased a lipstick from
Yeah.
her, like Como la Flor was the name, like I know my research on it. And I think that's another thing where like a lot of people are like, well, I'm gonna do this thing and I'm gonna wear this picture of this person because it's like cool and it's like, but do you know about that person? Like appreciate
Yeah.
it, appreciate the art, appreciate the culture before you choose to wear it and act like you like can like represent. Because when you're wearing someone, you're representing them as well. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's a lot of people choose to wear like Che Guevara, and I'm like, you guys don't realize like I had a Che Guevara shirt when I was like in like really young because I
Mm-hmm.
thought it was cool and like hip to be like a rebel and like,
Yeah.
but that's not what he was. Like Motorcycle Diaries is like just one side of him.
Mm-hmm.
The other side is when he like would put people in a line militia style and just shoot them in front of their
Mm-hmm.
families. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like a lot of people don't realize like they don't do their research. They only choose to pick and choose like what is good. Um, you can eat, you could do Taco Tuesday without posting on your Instagram wearing a sombrero and saying orale orale like talk, you know what I mean? Like there's just like
Yeah.
some basic stuff that like I think people forget when they're doing these celebrations and it's like they don't even know like the amount of people. I saw this, there was this one thing like a man on the street kind of style thing video once, and somebody posted it and it was like they asked everybody what was the meaning of Cinco de Mayo
Mm.
and nobody knew. Like I think like what, and there was also Latinos that didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Mhm.
all like, you know what I mean? And it's like it's not Mexican Independence Day. That's in September. Like this is because of a battle. Like are you
Yeah.
what? Like you realize that we're celebrating like the Mexicans winning a battle, but also like that's like a dark like thing if you like we don't
Mhm.
celebrate, like D-Day's a weird, you know what I mean? It's a weird,
Yes.
you don't put hats on and you're like, woo, like yay, World War this or whatever that is. Like
Right.
what? No, nobody talked like Vietnam or
Yeah.
whatever. Like we're not doing that.
Mhm.
But so I think that, like again with the people of color and like Latinx and like things like that, like I think like a lot of people just like do your research, know what you're talking about, don't put on a costume. We're not a costume. Like it's like when people wear like a headdress
Mhm.
of the Native American, and it's like I understand it is a beautiful thing, and it's maybe you were gifted this from that person. That's
Mhm.
different too. If the person of that culture like gives you this, then that's different. But like you don't wear the headdress and then like paint weird things on your face and then like be
Yeah.
like, oh, because like that's not like what Native Americans do. Indigenous people
Mhm.
don't all like, it's also the times are so different now than they were like in the like 1800s.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I know you know this, but I think it's one of those things that sometimes people need to hear.
For sure.
And like they even like with Yo, This Is Racist. I listen to that podcast all the time, and they're part of the Earwolf family. And I listen to it sometimes and I'm just like, oh, I didn't know that about, the Middle Eastern community or like the Black community or whoever it is they're speaking about. And
Mhm.
it's nice to listen to things that like also teach you. Like they're
Yes.
just like, which is like good. And I think that's part of like even like to like even wrap that back to the SAP podcast. Like, we're not like here to like judge you. And like, I'm not going to lie, I'm the hardest person on that podcast. The amount of times I say white people this, white people that. And like, it's like, again, like no shade to white people, but there are just sometimes just so ignorant. It's more like people, unfortunately, in other like areas of the world that are just not, they don't see a lot of me. They don't see a lot of, blacks or Haitians or it's just, it's more white. And I understand it. I don't agree with it, but I understand that that's part of their journey, and that those people just have to do more work. And it's not like my job to like tell you or teach you.
Yeah.
But you can log on and listen and learn, or choose to be ignorant and then be called out. And that's like, you're just never going to make everybody happy with that kind of stuff, I guess.
I think what people aren't expecting is, because I'm the first person who will call you out on like, if you're, it's about being like educated and being enlightened.
Yeah.
And also especially white people standing up and to other white people and be like, this is not cool. You cannot do this.
Yeah.
And this is why. Like, stop it.
Yeah. And like also like a lot of times, like I know like we've had this we're like, there's so many little things that, like, you don't know like what this person, like when we're getting into it, like you don't know like what my story is, and I might not know what your story is. Like, I don't know like if you just had a racist thing happen to you or a misogynist thing happen to you like an hour ago at the supermarket or whatever, but like I'm coming at you and I don't know that, and like the energy behind you is going to be so different when you come at me like in defense, you know what I mean, or whatever. And it's like, I think that's also like part of it. Like, we had the podcast episode where like we talk about like how when you go back home, the babies thing. Oh, everybody for the holidays, everybody's like, oh, are you gonna have, when are you having a baby? When are you have a baby? And it's like, this woman had just posted on Twitter, and I read it and it like broke my heart, her story, because it was like, oh, like, a lot of people like are gonna be going back home now during the holidays. And one of the questions that a lot of you guys want to ask your friends that are in a couple or just got married is, ooh, when's baby time? And like, you don't know if these people are trying. And like, she said that like that happened to her, and she had just had a miscarriage. And like the girl started crying, like the first person that asked her that. And I was like, yeah, like you don't know these things. And sometimes it's like nice to like, just like maybe not just put yourself in their shoes, but just kind of like be like, more like I don't need to ask you guys these personal questions that don't affect me truly.
Yeah. It's all in that same space, right? Of how do you really be a human and be curious and ask questions and like really listen for the answer versus just like talk at people.
Yeah, definitely. Also, you froze a little bit. Sorry, I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, okay. Did you?
Like, I can hear you.
Your face is frozen.
Okay,
I hope
cool.
it was
Jordan's
in some like really dramatic, ugly way, because those are the best times to freeze.
Actually, it's like you're like, you look pissed.
Oh, good.
You do look pissed.
I'm like, listen. Well, we ask everyone on the podcast where you put yourself on the powerful lady scale. 0 being average, everyday human, and 10 being super powerful lady. Where would you score yourself today, and where do you think you would score yourself on average?
Wait, I'm sorry. It was today, and what was the other one?
On average.
And on average.
I assume that the day you're on this podcast, you're going to rank yourself higher than maybe average. That's how egotistical I am about my own podcast. So.
I've been called cocky and like very like not cocky or conceited or real just like
sure of yourself.
Yeah, sure of myself. But I think in this situation, I would rate myself today as I would rate myself both the same, because I think like on average and like today is the same thing to me because it's part of my average. So like I would say I'm an 8, and I'm going to say why. Because I think like I'm doing everything that I can right now with my capabilities to be a powerful woman, and also like continue like inspiring other like women in general and like my culture and my people and but I want to leave 9 and 10 out there for like the future. Like I want to have something to build up to, because if I'm a 10 right now, then like where else am I gonna go from there if you can't go like above, like past a 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I think like I want something to look forward to. And like, I know like there's other things that like I want to do that would be inspiring and powerful to women and you know people like that, but people like that, women, I don't like, I don't know why that why I said it like that, but you know what I mean, like I guess just like I want like something to look forward to and like to like continue to like have. I feel like I'll never stop doing that. Like I always want to be like an activist no matter what, and I think that's like the thing that like a lot of people, I think like they think like actors that we are cocky and conceited and all these things, but it's like they don't realize like we're getting rejected on the daily. Like you think you're getting rejected by a guy or a girl once a week because you ask them out, or you know at work you gave up the no, like I go into 5 auditions maybe in one day and I don't book any of those. That's 5 times I got rejected, whether like I hear back from them or not, kind of thing. And I think like it's okay to like build your self-confidence as much as possible and try to stay humble, but like yeah. So 8. I'm like I'm 8.
I like
What
that.
about you? How do you feel today?
Oh, today? I mean, I think I started off at like a 2 based on how I was feeling this morning, but it's gotten much better. So I think today is a solid like 6.
Yeah. I just got my period today, so maybe I'm a 7 today.
Yeah.
Yeah, fine,
Possibility.
fine. Look, I'll change it up. Today I'll be a 7. 'Cause, you know, my
Periods are powerful.
oh,
man.
I don't know.
They're powerful.
Oh, they're the worst though. I hate it. I'm like, it's just God, why? Look, that's how strong we are. We do all these things. Our body does all these things and we don't get no respect.
Well, I know we're in quarantine. I know we're stuck, like having to put a lot of things on pause. But
Yeah.
what are you excited about that you're creating this year? And like, what's next for you? Like, you have so many amazing things going on. Like, what else are you dreaming up? And where should we expect to see you in 1 year, 3 years?
Oh God. 1 year I'd love to be on a show. Some type of show. I don't have to be the lead. I don't have to be the star. Just something that is helping me build my career, build my acting confidence, my acting chops or whatever. Because I've been doing so much comedy. I have a theater degree, but I'm like, I've been doing so much improv, so much live, this and that when you go into an audition room, it's different. It's so different. And I think like it's interesting where I can like walk into a stage, I can go on stage and perform in front of 500 people and be confident. Even if I don't get a laugh, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'll fix it in like a minute. Let me jump in later and I'll remind you that I'm funny or whatever that is.
Yeah.
But then I walk into a room and there's just a camera guy and one person reading and I freak out because in my head, like, I'm like, oh my God, this could be it or whatever that is. Like I put so much pressure on myself. So definitely like be on a show, like, you know, hopefully inspiring other like women of color and, you know, Latinas as well, just to like, you know, be like, okay, like, well, she's got this, she's doing this, now she's doing this. And 3 years from now, I'd love to be like show running and have a show that is mine, that I pitched, that is like something somehow inspiring and empowering as well. You know, even if it's just like the most simple, like idea or whatever that is, like, it's just, I know that no matter what it is, it's gonna like inspire somehow. And going forward right now during the pandemic, since we are on hold, I think I am finally gonna, you know, sit down and start writing. I've been telling myself that for like 2 years. And it's because I go into these meetings and people are like, there's not a lot of people like you with your voice doing what you're doing. Like, you need to put that on paper. Like, it's great that you have these other things, but this is all live, or like there's a podcast or whatever. Like, I need like a show. Like, you can't just verbally say that. You have to like write it down, which is like one of the things that I'm not confident in at all. But I'm just like, fuck it. I'm just gonna write and
just start.
Sucks. I know. Literally, I'm starting this week officially. All right. Not because of any other reason, but like I had to like, to be honest, I was like mentally not ready for like this pandemic. And I what do you call this? I like had to do so many things like financially that I think were like stressing me out as well as many of my other like self-employed type of friends. And now that like I've been able to like finish all of that paperwork, I think I can actually sit down and be creative, because it's so hard to be creative when you're like worried about paying bills, like, which is, I think is a huge a huge barrier that I have as well, because like I side hustle a lot, and then show run a podcast and show run a live show, and also like have auditions and everything else, have a boyfriend, I have cats, I have friends, like it's a lot. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
people don't think about that. They just think it's like, you're chilling, like you have a podcast, you're making money, and I'm like, honey, like it's not
Mm-mm.
like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish, but it's not like that. I wish all I had to do was come in and podcast, and that'd be the best. But yeah, definitely, I think that, and as part of the like all like to I guess close that future stuff, just like being really active and as
Mm-hmm.
an activist for any of like things that come up, whether it's undocumented children and families, and or just like women that are calling out sexual abusers and assaulters or whatever that is. I don't know, I just want to always be active, and I think that's like the beautiful thing of like what I do. Like I just, people are like, you would just want, like, do you just want to just to be famous and rich? And I'm like, no, I just want, if I'm gonna be famous, like I want it to be because I'm gonna use that
Mm-hmm.
platform to like influence people and inspire them and help and do whatever I can.
Yeah.
But there's no point of being famous and rich if I can't help other people other like than my family. Like great,
Mm-hmm.
cool. So I help my family now. Like what's next? Like who else like do we need to like help? Because I think a lot of people just forget about that. They blow up and they're like, okay, cool, I'm good. I've never had money, so this feels good and I'm gonna
Yeah.
hold on to it. And it's like, no, you've never had money. So hold on to some, and then like, invest, do whatever it is you need to do, but also like give back, because that's karma. It's gonna come back to you, not just because of karma, but like just because like you need to be a good person.
Mm-hmm. No, completely, completely. You talked earlier about how much you use your planner and how organized you are.
Yeah.
And I think that, what puts a lot of people who are in Hollywood ahead of others is treating it like a business. How do you treat your career like a business that gives you an advantage?
Oh, always. Like it's so funny because like I don't even think like, okay, I'm not the kind of person that goes to an event
Mm-hmm.
to network. Like that's not like, you can't have that in your head. Like a lot of people are like, how do you book these big celebrities, or how do you like this, or how did you go to this event or whatever? And I'm like, I'm just like myself. I walk into
Mm-hmm.
the room and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna be me. That's Miami Cuban Risa. And like, like I don't want to talk about, I don't want to talk about Star Wars. I don't want to talk about, Lord of the Rings, but like I will sit here and talk to you about CrossFit and basketball or
Yeah.
cats or whatever that is. And like you, like this person might be so sick and tired of people talking to them about, so what are you up to? What are you writing? And like, sure, I care. If it's gonna help me, maybe great. But also like I don't need to talk to 10 different people in this party about their projects that are coming. Like it's like it really truly doesn't like inspire me at all. Um and so I think like just like being yourself more than anything is the
Mm-hmm.
first step. And then like sure, like you go to these events, you don't even realize you're networking. Like networking without realizing you're networking is the best type of networking, I would say, because it's
Yeah.
like I don't know, like I guess I just don't come off thirsty, which is part of it. And I think I can tell when someone is talking to me, because it's kind of like how we were talking about earlier about like interview questions. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan my questions. Like I can't plan my questions. If I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk to you, I want to like listen to you, respond, and that's something that's from improv that you pretty much learn, listen and respond. But
Yeah.
I also think uh also like remembering people.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really bad with names, but I remember where I met someone and how I met them and who connected me. And I think like I have terrible memory. I ask my boyfriend the same thing all the time, and I see him the most out of anybody in LA probably, or like my roommate. I ask her the same question all the time and I'm terrible. But like I can remember what I wore to a premiere event 2 years ago where I met this person and we exchanged information,
Yeah.
and then like we stayed in touch or whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think like also just like business wise, just like, yeah, like organization is really important. And just like a lot of people are always like, say yes to everything. And I don't actually believe in that. I think say yes to the things that you think either one are going to pay you and you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, it's like you're helping a friend because they helped you, or you're just helping a friend. Like that's it. Like that's your friend that you might never need that friend for anything, but you're just helping them. And three, like it's like a project that like is going to inspire and help other people. Um, I'm like, just say, like, just, yeah, say yes to it, but be picky and choosy. I think you need to be picky and choosy. And I think in the beginning, we're so thirsty to like do everything and like be famous so
Yeah.
quick and all these things. And I'm like, okay, like it's pacing sometimes sucks. Like, of course, I'd love to like be on a TV show right now or a movie or like have like that financial even like behind me, that like stability or whatever that is, that like makes me feel like, okay, I'm like not as stressed out, like whatever. But like in the end of the day, like that comes and it goes. Like you could be on a TV show for 2 seasons and that'll get canceled and like that's it. So like I think it's like I rather be like slow and steady and like be more secure with whatever that is. And um yeah, I'm like, I think, yeah, those are the, yeah, just, I think just be like cool to people too, because that's another thing. I think I see a lot of people being rude because they think that this person is not important. What they don't realize is that maybe that person is a person that's going to write a show and you're going to go audition and like, they're going to be like, oh, that guy was an asshole. He was so rude to me. And look, he's in my room right now. And not to say like, be nice to everybody because they might be someone, but like, just like, don't be mean if you don't have a reason to be. But I see that, like I see people like disregarding conversations with certain people. And then when I tell them who they are, maybe later, I'm like, oh yeah, that's like the showrunner. And they're like, oh my God, I was like, so whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I just wanted to let you know now. So like maybe you can make up for that. Cause I know you're a cool person because I like you, but also like maybe you should know this like going forward. And I think there are teaching moments in that as well, where like it's okay to like learn still, whether you're like 23, 33, 43 or whatever in the business. There's always going to be things that are like you're going to like, you have to be okay with like learning and keeping up, because like it's like TikTok. I refuse to do TikTok. That's what I keep saying. Listen, one day I might give in. Carlos really wants me to give in. I refuse. I think sometimes like if you tell me you want me to do something, I like want to do it less too. Like, so like maybe that's why it took so long for me to write, because everybody's been telling me to do it. But I do want to.
A friend of mine's created a TikTok just to do videos with her cat.
Oh,
and
wait.
that's it.
That's also like pretty my brand. Yes, love that. I would be into that. So they're the only TikToks people have sent me of my friends because they know I don't TikTok. So they'll send me cat ones. Like I just got one today of a cat watching Bad Bunny's live last night. And it was like, it was like, mi gato le encanta like Bad Bunny too. And I was like, yeah, girl, my cat's like Bad Bunny too. So what? So what? My cat's like him too.
I love it.
I feel like "do you" is like a strong, simple, but like very strong comment. I don't know, or like, I don't know, statement I like to say. Because I think being in Hollywood, it's so easy to like try to be what other people want you to be. So I think like my like best auditions, my best everything, like when I like network or meet people, it's always because I'm being myself. Because when I try to be like maybe too cool or like I know this or whatever it is, like I feel like it just doesn't come off genuine. And I just feel like I rather like genuine people are always the ones that like I'm attracted to. Like I will meet you at a party, and if you're genuine and we talk and say we will become friends, and like I will stay friends with you because I can like I'm very good at like reading people like that. But yeah, I think just like being you is one of the biggest things, whether quarantine or not or whatever. And in regards to like future me, I don't know, like follow me on IG, I guess, and Twitter. I'm trying to get better at Twitter, but I forget. I just like tweet stuff that like I would want to read, which is probably not everybody's audience. But I think yeah, they could follow me on Instagram and Twitter. They're at Raiza Licea, RaizaLicea. And I mean, I don't know. I'm always posting stuff too on RIG and on a Spanish Aquí Presents, which is at Spanish Aquí Presents. I post a lot of like castings or like opportunities for POC, not just Latinx people or women, or you know, just that kind of stuff, because I think like it's harder to find stuff for us. And like a lot of us need to just continue sharing that kind of content so like we can continue to like lift each other up.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
awesome.
I'm like, that's it. I don't know. I'm like, oh, it's weird and hard to like I said, like it's like you feel like weird like promoting or like telling people about like the future, because like none of us know. I might not be able to be on set until 2021. I don't know what my life is going to be. I might have to get a random full-time job. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen in Hollywood. And,
Or launch your cat TikTok business.
oh, I mean, I might have to.
Yeah.
Cats, TikTok, Miami. What? So weird.
No, but I love it because, like, you know, part of as a business coach, I'm always telling people to bring more of themselves into their businesses. Like, whatever your recipe is that makes you as unicorn, like that's what people want to buy. So if it is like improv plus cats plus basketball plus Miami equals like your winning formula, like do more of that, right? Like you said, like you don't want another of the same thing out there.
Yeah.
And, you know, so how do you avoid that? You just do more of whatever makes you you. And even if it's like ridiculous you, I think that's even more of a reason to lean in because there's so much authenticity in whatever we think is ridiculous about our lives and ourselves and all those things.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's like how I said it before, like every time I'm just myself is like where I realize like that's like where I get the best feedback or the best like engagements with other people. Cause definitely when you try like, and I've done that. I've been fake. I mean, we all have, like, we all like put a different like persona depending like where we are. But like, I realize even like with like, you know, I won't say like who it is, but like even like I've hung out with like very, very famous people and it's like not a name drop or anything, but like it's Hollywood. And sometimes you show up to someone's party and like there's an Oscar nominated person just there and you're like, oh fuck, like I'm like, I'm wearing my ripped jeans today, oh boy, whatever that is, you know. And like I've like, it's weird, but like a lot of times these people for whatever reason like they connect with me and like at the end, like sometimes I don't know who they are. Like sometimes I do. I mean, I said this story when they were like Paul Feig walked into UCB and I had no idea who he was, but I had to tell him because the showrunner was like, hey, when Paul gets here, he's part of the show, you'll see him, he's a tall white man dressed very dapper. She was just like, you know, like when he gets here, just make sure that, you know, you tell him he has time to get a drink. Can you tell him about the places next door? And, you know, when he comes in, he'll probably have you walk into the back. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. He walks in. I don't know who Paul is. This was literally when like after Bridesmaids and like when it was literally the day after they announced the all-female Ghostbusters, which he was doing. And so everybody knows who he is at this point, but I don't know. He's a background like guy. Like I don't see his face. He's not like the one in the movie. And so he walks in. I'm like, oh my God, you're Paul. Oh my God. She explained how you were going to look perfectly. Let me see. Oh my God, is this a vintage pocket? So I pulled out the man's pocket square. I pulled out Paul Feig's pocket square and rubbed it on my face in the lobby of UCB. And Matt was there Matt Apodaca from Earwolf. And he was just the manager. And he was just like looking at me with his eyes and his mouth open. And the other interns were like, what are you doing? And then I was like, if you want like a nice little cocktail, you go next door to Franklin and Co. But if you want like something like real like bougie and like whatever, you go to La Poubelle. And if you just want a beer pong, just go to Birds. And he was just like, I like you. Can you cut like, do you want something? Do you? And I was just like, he walks out and everybody is like, do you realize that you just like manhandled Paul Feig? And I was like, oh my God, but it was all like consensual. Like, wait, but I'm like, wait a minute, but are you sure that's him? They're like, no, 100%. And then everybody wanted to like walk him back when he walked in. And I was just like, I'm like, oh yeah, he's like, no, you, Raiza, I remember. And he remembered my name because I was so like normal. I didn't like fangirl him or anything. And even if I knew who he was, I don't think I would have. But I think knowing sometimes too, like that gets in your head. So I guess that's like something that like I like to tell people a lot where I'm just like, just maybe pretend you don't know who they are. And that will make you feel like way more like chill, like how they say like pretend the audience is naked or in their underwear or whatever. Like I honestly think like those are things that like work for people because when I don't know you, I don't care. Even when I know you, I usually don't care because in the end of the day, me having one conversation with you is not going to make me, put me on your movie or whatever that is. But cool, you remembered me. One day I'm going to walk into a room, I'm going to be auditioning for a movie of yours and I'm going to tell you the story. And you might be like, oh yeah, you were that weird Cuban girl that touched my pocket square, put it on your cheek.
That just made me like you so much more. I'm so glad we got to share that story.
I know. I'm like, and it's like, it's funny because I'm always like, it's not like a name droppy story because like I truly did. If anything, it's more like I look like a weirdo, but I'm like, but that's real. Like that's like the world that we live in. Like sometimes you're doing improv and Blake Griffin walks backstage right past you and you're like, oh my God, this is Blake Griffin. Cool. All right, great. I'm gonna go do a 30-minute set. Bye. Well, whoever that is. But it's we're all normal. We're all human. Some of us just have more money and are famous.
Exactly. Well, it has been such an honor today to get to know you, to get to share your story, and to get to share you with the entire Powerful Ladies world. This has just been great. So thank you so much for being a yes to Jordan and me and to Powerful Ladies.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm sorry we weren't able to do this in real life, but quarantine podcasts, they're a thing now. It's easier. It's so much easier to book people, which is weirdly nice, but also like the in-person ones, obviously, like I'd be like hugging you now, saying, oh my God, thank you, but like virtual hug.
Yes.
I'm like, I ain't gonna hug nobody for a hot minute.
I know. And hopefully next time I'm in the studio, we'll cross paths. But
yes. Thank you. And thank you to Jordan too. She's the best. I love her so much. Honestly, top three people at Earwolf. Can't name the other two. One of them might be a dog. I'm just saying. They got a lot of cute dogs. For a hot minute.
I know. And hopefully next time I'm in the studio, we'll cross paths. But
yes. Thank you. And thank you to Jordan too. She's the best. I love her so much. Honestly, top three people at Earwolf. Can't name the other two. One of them might be a dog. I'm just saying. They got a lot of cute dogs.
Raiza is awesome. She's powerful, she's funny, she cares, and no one is going to stop her, which is probably the most critical element of being a powerful lady. To connect, support, and follow Raiza, you can find her on Instagram at Raiza Licea, and of course, also follow at Spanish Aquí Presents. Check out her website, raizalicea.com, and download and subscribe to her podcast, Spanish Aquí Presents. All the other ways that you can follow, support, and connect with Raiza will be listed on our website, thepowerfulladies.com/podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Powerful Ladies podcast. There are so many ways you can get involved and get supported with fellow powerful ladies. First, subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Powerful Ladies. Join the Powerful Ladies Thrive Collective. This is the place where powerful ladies connect, level up, and learn how to thrive in business and life. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page, and of course, visit our website, thepowerfulladies.com. I'd like to thank our producer, composer, and audio engineer, Jordan Duffy. Without her, this wouldn't be possible. You can follow her on Instagram at Jordan K. Duffy. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Until then, I hope you're taking on being powerful in your life. Go be awesome and up to something you love.